This is a full guide to all the travel tips you need while traveling Puerto Rico. For my first tip, don't just stay in San Juan, because this is what Puerto Rico really looks like. After taking 2 trips to Puerto Rico this year, I had the opportunity to cover a large chunk of the island. I can't say I saw it all or I'm an expert, but I did my very best to see and experience as much as possible. The people of Puerto Rico are some of the most friendly I've encountered throughout the whole world. Every time we needed some tips or some help, they were always there with a smile to help us out. Where should we go?
We just arrived.
We're going to the place that like they sell macapuria, bacalao, rice and beans, everything.
Not only is the place unreal, but the people are just so friendly.
I love it so much. Puerto Rico, you have my heart already.
They always wanted to know where we were from, and they're always so proud of the island they get to call home. I love your home.
I love it.
The 2000 census reported that 71.9% of Puerto Rico residents spoke English less than very well, and 99% spoke Spanish. One of the most difficult things for me was language. Yes, they speak English. Yes, they speak Spanish, but you can't come to somebody's country and expect them to be fluent in both languages. So I highly suggest knowing a little of each. Or make sure you download Google Translate. We really only ran into these issues while in the small towns throughout the island. We never had this problem in major cities like San Juan.
¿Esto? Dorado. Pescado. Eso es pescado.
That one or that one?
The fish? Is that pescado?
Yeah, that one fish. Yeah.
Uno?
Now let's talk about the place. Puerto Rico is not just one island. It's actually 143 islands and cays. Mainland Puerto Rico can seem a little small, but I promise this island packs a very big punch. They say the best things come in small packages, or maybe they were just telling me that growing up to make me feel better about myself. Did you know there are 5 bioluminescent bays in the world, and 3 of them are in Puerto Rico alone? With over 78 municipalities in Puerto Rico, you need to plan your trip carefully. I'm always one to slam pack my agenda and try and fit in as much as possible. But driving around the island takes some time, especially if you want to fit in as much as you can. Generally, we would spend around 2, 3, maybe even 4 hours in the car trying to hit as much as I possibly could. The main roads aren't bad at all going from, say, San Juan to Rincon, but you run into the problems of trying to reach the attractions when you go in the back roads. They're very tight and narrow at sometimes, so you need to take your time to make sure you make it there safely. Let's talk about getting around. If you're going to Puerto Rico and you plan on just staying in San Juan, you have nothing to worry about. There are Ubers and local taxis. And they have those apps where you can download and you can pay for a scooter and you can ride yourself all the way to Old San Juan if you really want to. If you plan on seeing more of Puerto Rico than just San Juan, which I highly suggest, you're going to need a way to get around. Car rental prices are much higher at the airport, But if you do what I did and you get a taxi to an outside rental place, you can get the car for much cheaper.
Cool. Enterprise gave us a free upgrade. Thank you so much.
That was a lot faster than I thought. Actually, it's way quicker here than at the airport, because when you're at the airport, there's a long line, of course, because the departure or the arrival terminal, everybody is just walking directly to get a rental. Now, one of the things about driving on this island that can get a little confusing is one, they honk a lot. They have quite a strange metric system. Let me explain here. Mile markers are in kilometers, cars show mile per hours, and gas is in liters. We're at the gas station down the road from our apartment in Rincon, and they don't seem to be accepting credit card for some reason. But the gas does seem like it's 79 cents, but it's a liter, and it's 89 cents a liter. So it's about $3.29 a gallon here in Puerto Rico. So it's not very far off. It's a little bit more expensive than New York, at least outside the city, up where I'm from, but it's a little bit cheaper than California from what I hear. So just make sure you're paying attention while driving so that you don't break any of those local laws. Now, when we talk about where to stay, this really depends on your desired trip. Do you want something a little more relaxing and slow, or would you like something a little more adventurous and on the go? These are very, very narrow trails. They're into this giant cavern. Both times I traveled Puerto Rico, I stayed in multiple places. The first time, San Juan and Isabela. The second time, San Juan and Rincon. While staying in these places, it allowed me to cover a 2-hour perimeter from my home location to experience all the attractions at different parts of the island. I wanted to fit in as much as I possibly could. I mean, take a look at this map, and I hit almost everything on this map. The prices of the island outside San Juan are much cheaper as well. Something not many people talk about, they are limiting the amount of people entering the rainforest each day. So tickets have to be reserved. That made that side of the island for my first 2 trips a little less desirable, because I didn't know if I was going to have a ticket every day to experience the full rainforest that I wanted to see. I do highly suggest seeing this on the island, but if you're staying in San Juan, you could always take a day trip to see the rainforest. I unfortunately did not have the opportunity to do that, and when I went to go reserve, the tickets were already fully booked. While staying in San Juan, there are 3 main areas to choose from: Old San Juan, Condado, and Isla Verde. Now, Condado is right next to the main party district, so it can be a little loud, and Isla Verde is a lot quieter, but it's located right next to the airport. One benefit of being next to the airport is you're close to the boardwalk, which is a very local and amazing thing to do while in San Juan. And taking a trip from Isla Verde to Old San Juan is only around $12 to $13 by Uber. When I traveled San Juan, I stayed in Condado. But to be honest, I wish I would have stayed in Old San Juan. It seemed much quieter, and it was a lot closer to everything I really wanted to do.
Hola. Hey. God bless you.
Like, you could legit hear grasshoppers down here in Old San Juan. It just blows my mind because it's such a popular place. It's really well known for food, drinks, entertainment, shopping, but it's not really the nightlife spot of Old San Juan, or of San Juan. So if you're looking to rent a place down here in San Juan while you're here, or just taking a stop before you go somewhere else in the island, Old San Juan might be the best place for you. You get the shopping, you get the experience, you get the history, and you get the peace and quiet to sleep well. Now, while staying on the West Coast, I stayed in Isabela the first trip. And Rincon the second trip. drive down here has been incredible and exactly what we expected here in Rincon, especially on a Saturday night. All the locals are out here in a circle. They're all dancing, doing the electric slide. I had no idea it was the electric slide. Steve hopped in, was dancing. Everybody's just in such a good mood, enjoying the Saturday night out here in public. Rincon is one of the most popular places to stay while staying in Puerto Rico. And it was honestly one of my favorite places that we stayed throughout both trips. Our Airbnb was in Stella Rincon, and it had a waterfall in the backyard. It was a full house that slept 10 people for only $80 a night. Rincon is one of the most popular areas in Puerto Rico to stay, so housing can be quite expensive. But if you stay a little outside of the main town, you can find much better. I think if you want like an all-in-one package where like you're close to the beach, you have good food nearby, and you don't want to drive, you could always fly into Aguadilla, which is about 30 minutes from here, and then you could stay at Villa Confrese, and they have fantastic drinks, fantastic sunset, beautiful beach, beautiful hotel. It's kind of like an all-in-one package without having like the all-inclusive resort. Now the best time to visit Puerto Rico is between the months of December to March, the winter. So get ready to pack your bags and head to Puerto Rico because it's that time. Now there is a hurricane season in Puerto Rico that runs from June to November. During this period, hurricanes and tropical storms that form in the Atlantic can highly impact travel. Don't let this stop you from visiting, because both times I visited Puerto Rico were during hurricane season. Yes, you might get a little rain, and yes, it is extremely hot. So bring some sunscreen and an umbrella. But really, when it rained, we would just get in the car and we would drive to the other side of the island after looking at the radar, and there was no rain. We made it just in time. It is hot in this car, but it is dry. And it started pouring as soon as we got to the car. Apparently the storm's gonna last till about 4 o'clock here in Rincon.
Right now it's 2.
And right now it's 2, so it's a 40-minute drive to Crash Boat Beach, and Steve has yet to see Crash Boat Beach, so.
And apparently it's not raining over there.
Yeah,
even though there's a big storm
miss us.
right here where we are right now, about 30 minutes away. Hopefully, maybe, it'll be clear. So you wanna go check it out?
Let's make the most of today, let's go.
Let's try it.
Now let's talk about getting to Puerto Rico. If you're a US citizen, you can travel to Puerto Rico without a visa. And if it's done the correct way, you can actually find tickets for $30 from New York City to San Juan. This is where today's sponsor comes in, ClearVPN. ClearVPN offers a ready-made shortcut that addresses the cause of why you choose the VPN in the first place. Whether you want access to content, browse securely, or just you want to stay private. ClearVPN helps you discover full possibilities every online journey. They have a strict no-log policy. So whether you're searching for flights or trying to protect your browsing online, ClearVPN allows you to stay secure and get the best deal. Click the link in the description box below to check out ClearVPN. Now, even though you can find cheap flights to Puerto Rico from the US, you still need to be careful and prepared. They do require a negative PCR test 72 hours prior to arriving to the island. You need to take that and upload it to the government's website, and then it'll generate a QR code which will allow you to exit the airport.
ID.
ID? Thank you. All set?
Yep,
Thank you, sir. Have a good day. The issue I ran into was my flight was on a Monday. In order to abide by those rules of 72 hours prior, I needed to take my COVID test Friday or Saturday. Well, because the US isn't in a state of emergency, they're not actually generating results for those tests on Saturdays and Sundays, thus leaving you with a little bit of a situation. If you don't get your results in time, you can't exit the airport. Don't worry, because your cell phone's gonna work. So most providers from the US will allow your cell phone service to work as soon as you land, giving you the opportunity to get the QR code from the internet and allow them to scan it on the way out. Don't worry if you're not a US citizen, because you can still travel Puerto Rico. Actually, Puerto Rico allows over 40 nationalities to travel the island without a visa. All you need to do is follow the same rules. And if cell phones are a must for you and your cell phone doesn't work as soon as you get off the plane, you can get a SIM card at a local mall, gas station, or cell phone store, long as your phone is unlocked, for $50. Let's talk about currency. Now, the currency used in Puerto Rico is the United States dollar, or as the locals call it, peso or dollar. I would suggest bringing some cash with you for small places like panderias or roadside vendors. But don't worry, there's ATMs throughout the whole island, and debit cards and credit cards are widely accepted throughout the island as well. But make sure you leave a tip, because tipping is expected in Puerto Rico. And these are all the tips I have for you today. And since flights are so cheap and the drinking age is only 18, hop on a flight and head to Puerto Rico. If there's any tips that I missed throughout this video, make sure to leave them down in the description box below to help the rest of the community for their next trip as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.